Before I go into my presentation and what the contents, it's going to be both some slides and also I'm going to show you some of the things that we have experienced with both sales and field service. So we're a small partner, but we're a lot of focusing on partner to partner. I actually attended the IMCP EMEA call this afternoon on the Dynamics and Power Platform, as Dynamics and Power Platform is really our key focus. What we also do is some API integrations. And I would have to include also SharePoint, but that's not an issue today. It's my legacy. I've been working with SharePoint since 2006. But I've been working with Dynamics Power Platform for 5-6 years. Dynamics Power Platform, we did our first Power Platform project about 4 years ago, so that was fairly early in Power Platform. Yeah, that's basically what we are doing. Let's first dive into what I am doing. I'm based in Stockholm, Sweden. I'm fairly now waiting for the snow to come so I can do some downhill skiing. In the meantime, I can go hiking. I can start traveling now when the pandemic is being controlled. I do a lot of cooking. I prefer to do cooking outdoor. I bike and I watch sports. And now I'm also working a lot. I'm spending a lot of time with my family as I'm now a grandfather. Dynamics 365 is a good fit for SMB. One of the things that we have really seen is that the flexibility of Dynamics 365 can be a benefit, or it can also be a hurdle. If you start to show what the D365 is really about, some of the customers can feel, oh my God, this is too big for us. This is nothing. What should we choose? You tell us. So when we go into projects, we kind of see what the real needs is. We explain how you can customize Dynamics 365, and we see what features are really beneficial for the customer. Because as you know, Dynamics is a very, very large platform, and you can use it for smaller customers, but you can use it for multi-organizations and for multi-international organizations and so on. So yes, it can actually be a good fit for the SMB market. And when I'm talking about the SMB market, it's really SMB that we are very much focusing on. We have been doing, and I will show you in my presentation, Dynamics installations with 3 users, and I'm serious. They are buying in on it. Dynamics 365 sales and field service enterprise. That's sometimes thing that we sell to customers. Of course, field service enterprise is something that we have to be selling to customers, as there is no Dynamics 365 field service professional. As you know, there is a sales professional, fairly lower price than the enterprise version. We are in many cases using Dynamics 365 team member, especially if you use field service. You can use the team member license when an operator is only working on a work order that he's being dispatched to. What is fairly new, I learned this last week from Microsoft, is that team member license will soon be included in the M365 license. That's one of the things that was presented on the Ignite on the Ignite show. That is really what they are doing with the Teams integration in Dynamics 365. So it's going to take a couple of months, but it's going to be included. The things that I've heard first is from sales, customer service, and in the long run also field service. I haven't gotten this verified 100%, but when I see and when I discuss with people in Microsoft, they say like it's being done. The connection between Dataverse is really through the Microsoft graph, and if you do it that way, there's no way that field service is not going to be included in this one. Another license that we have been using is the Dynamics 365 Field Service Device License. A device license is used for like truck drivers. They have a device in the truck, and it's several drivers that drive the truck, and they can then use the device license, and they can be resources in the Dynamics 365 field service. The device license is priced a little bit above the Dynamics field service enterprise license, but it's a very good way. And like I said, we have been doing small installations. We are now in the process of finalizing an installation with 3 users with field service enterprise and 2 field service device licenses. That's all in this customer. What we really try to do and try to sell to the SMB market is that Dynamics 365 can be a very cost-effective application for their business needs. If we're talking about sales, what is a win or what is a loss worth? When we ask the customer that question, they start to tell us, oh, it's several thousand of dollars, it's $10,000s of dollars, it's huge amounts. And when we say, okay, we have a solution for you, it's called Dynamics 365, it's going to cost you less than what a loss of a sales is. If you lose a sale because you don't have full control of the process, because you don't have full action to the customer, then you may lose the deal to a competitor. But if you have a very good sales and CRM system, as you will get with Dynamics 365, then you can do the benefits of this. If we go to field service, what is a work order worth? This customer that I was telling you about, they are moving from paper-based forms to Dynamics 365 field service. And the customer told me, yes, we sometimes lose those papers. And the work order is what they use when they invoice the customer. What is placed on the work order is what the customer is being invoiced. And if they lose the work order because somebody dropped the paper, somebody put the paper in the pocket of his pants, put it on the pants in the washer, and everything is gone, then the customer says, okay, yes, this is a very, very good solution for us. We will go ahead and work with you. So what we basically do when we go into a project is that we start with a workshop to define the scope. When we go into the workshop, we sit there and listen to the customer saying, oh, we have these type of processes. We want to eradicate these hurdles, these time-consuming processes, these things that really make us work our asses off. Sorry for being foul in my language. When we do this, we listen, and when the customer says, oh, we have this need, and I say, I have two questions for you. Question number one is, how often do this problem occur? And is it a must-have or is it a need-have? So we focus on the must-haves and we make a note of what is needed to have. Also, one of the things that we have learned from experience is involve the end users early in the process. Early, they should actually be there in the workshop when you have the customer to help you define the scope. When we also define the scope, we make it clear to the customer what the result will be of the project, of the implementation project that we do. We also are very transparent to the customer saying, you will need to assist us in the implementation of this. And so we make up a project plan. We make up a project plan for ourselves. We make up a project plan for the customer. We also sometimes, when we do partner-to-partner projects, we make up a project plan for the partner that is sometimes selling the licenses, sometimes having other things that they sell to the customer, and they include us in the process. But by involving the end users early, you are actually seeing that the end solution will be something that end users will actually see as a benefit to their work, to their daily work. The benefit should be the thing for the end user. The end user should not be saying when the implementation is done, oh no, not again, one of these lousy IT systems that I have to use. So other things that we have really experienced with Dynamics 365 is do not code unless you must. Know really what Dynamics 365 is and how it works. What we basically do when we go into projects, and what we do on a regular basis as it's updated, is read the docs. Docs.microsoft.com is our Bible. Instead of coding, we do a lot of customization. And I'm going to go through some small tips that we do with customization to really make the customer see that Dynamics 365 is a good fit for the SMB market. So what we do is we integrate using connectors, connectors in the Dataverse, connectors in Power Automate. And if there's not a connector, we use API. We also use business processes and rules to do a lot of our projects. I'm not joking. Some of the projects we do without one thing of our own coding in .NET. And we still deliver Dynamics 365 solutions to customers. So what do we show to customers? I'm going to go through sales default versus a minimized sales. Field service default versus a minimized, and some things about field services to note. So let's see. I will now share my screen and go into my tenant. So the first thing we do is say to the customer, we use these tenants that we activate through cdx.transform.microsoft.com because they do contain a lot of things that are a good fit, and it also makes us do less work as they're populated with a lot of things. We do not always, in some cases, we do some special things, but in most cases, we actually do use the demo tenants that you can use for 30 to 90 days. So these are very, very good fit. So we start with showing this is what Dynamics 365 sales is about. This is what you have, and the customers say, oh my God, this is too big for us. We're not going to be able to use, and this is also when you show this to the customer, when Dynamics 365 can be thought of as a hurdle for the customer. This is too big for us. This is we don't understand what we should use all of this. Why do we need invoices? We have our ERP system. Why do we need orders? We have our order system. Why do we need everything? A marketing list. We have our marketing system. So we say to the customer, this is Dynamics 365 delivered out of the box from Microsoft. Let's do a minimized version. Let's take away the things that you really, as a customer, do not need and focus on what is beneficial for you. So what we do then is we produce some oh, probably something wrong there. What happened now? Demo. Let's see. So let's do it like this, because I probably played around with this a little bit too much. So what we actually do is we scale it down in make.powerups.com. We make a solution. And my solution is actually gone for sales. But let's focus on Dynamics 365 field service which I know will be working because I just checked a couple of minutes ago. But what we do is we take away, like I said, invoices, orders, marketing list, campaigns, quick campaigns, and focus on what the customer told us in the workshop. Sometimes we do one workshop, create a prototype of the system, show the prototype to the customer, and they go back to us and say, okay, let's do another workshop because we saw things now that we didn't see in the first workshop. So by focusing on that, by focusing on, like I said, what is an opportunity worth? We go in and work with the opportunities and really focus as a customer would want to on the. Let's see if there's. I think there's some opportunities here. We focus on this. We show them on the charts that you can use. We show them the dashboards. We show them what is actually possible with sales. But as Ras said, the main focus on my presentation today is going to be around field service. Most of you have been working with sales, so I don't need to go into sales that much. So we have been focusing the last couple of years around field service and around very small installations and also some larger installations. But what field service is really about is about work orders. One of the things that we start to show to the customer is, of course, like I said in the sales, a out of the box field service installation. Now here we have it with some deployed sample data. One of the things that we have learned that the customers really, really like is the schedule board. So the schedule board is the first thing that we show to the customer. Because the schedule board is something that they can see as a benefit to them, because they can book the resources fairly easy. They can use the map integrator with a geolocation. And for those of you who haven't been working with field service, the geolocation is actually coming from the Dynamics 365 field service app, the mobile app. Not the old Resco app, but the new Microsoft app from field service, which is using the GPS in the phone to really tell the dispatcher where the field worker is located. Where is the field worker? I was discussing this with one customer, and they said they were also using paper-based work orders. And they produced a Word document for each driver where they should drive and do their work orders. And I said to the dispatcher, so how many times a day do you have to reschedule because of a traffic jam in Stockholm? Traffic jams in Stockholm can be fairly tough. You can spend easily an hour getting from one from the northern to the southern part of Stockholm. And the customer said, yes, it happens every day. I have to reschedule. Then I have to phone one driver, tell that driver that he needs to go to another place to pick up another work order, and it's a mess for me. So with the schedule board, the dispatcher can just redirect, book work order just by dragging and dropping. Now this is showing a month. You can show it by hours, the schedule board. So you can actually see who of the resources can take this work order that the other driver cannot reach because he's stuck in a traffic jam. So by doing this, we show that the schedule board is there, and the customer would say, okay, yeah, some customers would love to use the schedule board. Some customers say, oh, we don't have a dispatcher because all of our field workers, they schedule their own work orders. Okay, fine, let's take away the schedule board in that case, and let's just work on the work orders. So we just focus in that case on the work orders. And if we do that, we minimize the menu in the solution that we do for the customer. So we take away a lot of things, as you have seen here. We're only using work orders, work order products, activities, knowledge articles, geolocation settings. We could actually take away because we're not using the schedule board, price list, products, and then accounts, contacts, agreements, customer assets, and functional locations. I will go into some of these features here that are really, really good use for field workers and for service companies that do a lot of work orders. There's a lot of different sectors that do work orders. It can actually be consultants. We ourselves use field service for all our work. So a work order product can actually be a physical product, or it can be an hourly rate for the work that we are doing. So field service can be a very good fit for a lot of different sectors, for a lot of different vectors like Microsoft is keen on working with, saying. So let's go into some of these features that you actually see in field service. Is that you can have bookings, you can do resource requirements, you can do resource groups. Resource requirements could be that you need a field worker that is certified to work with high voltage electricity. That could be one of the requirements. Then you can have a requirement group of resources that has this resource requirement. You can, of course, if you want to, use time off requests and time entries. Some companies have a lot of other systems that they're keen on using for that. So I would say I haven't used that much of time off and time entry in field service, but it's a good fit that you can actually have. The benefits of using the approach that we are doing with smaller projects is that we can deliver the projects to the customer with solving the must-haves that the customer is saying in the workshop. We can do it in a fairly short time. We have actually, in some cases, delivered field service in 2 calendar months. Of course, a minimized field service, not a full-blown field service, but the customer is starting to use it, they're starting to see the benefits of it, and then we go back 2-3 months after the installation is being put into place, and go to the customer and say, okay, let's review these nice to haves that you were telling us during the workshop. And when we go into them and say, okay, is this now that we saw as a nice to have in the first workshop, is this still a nice to have or is it a must have? So by doing that, we can work with the customer, we can expand the use of field service. One of the other things that we work with in Dynamics 365 field service is agreements. A lot of service organizations have agreements to do monthly work. So I've just created one agreement as there were no agreements in the sample data. So I had to create an agreement. It's an agreement for the customer Contoso Electronics. You see here one thing, you see a billing account and you see a service account. What we usually do when we do service accounts and billing accounts is that we use the hierarchy that you can have with accounts. That is basically there in Dynamics 365. Because the service account could be one customer. It can be one part of a municipality government, and the government is really the billing account because that's where you send the bill. That's where you send the invoice to the customer. So let's go into this active agreement. I've just created the agreement. I set it to active. You can set a start date and an end date. And then the system calculates the duration of the agreement. What's basically interesting here is that you have something called booking setup. So I've done one entry here in the booking setup. It's called monthly check. So we go into that one and see what it really is. The monthly check is actually something to automate a creation of a work order. The automation of the work order is being done with the information that you put into this booking setup. You say if it's going to be auto-generated work order, what the work order type is. A work order type is something that could contain a lot of checkpoints, tasks that you could do. It can contain also products that you bring to handle the work order. You say generate work order days in advance. In this case, it's 30. So 30 days in advance, it's creating a work order and it's going to assign that work order to the customer, to the field worker that's going to work with this one. Monthly check of redundant power. That's a work order summary. That's actually what's being put into the work order when the field worker will get it. You can set an estimated duration. You can set a preferred resource. That preferred resource will get this work order assigned to the person once it is being activated. You can then do some other things. You can have a time window, start and end. You can have preferred start time. As you see, some of these are required. Also, you can see above there's the yellow line with the exclamation mark saying that even though this agreement is active, agreement booking dates and work orders will not be generated until the recurrence has been defined. So what you have to do is you have to do a booking recurrence. So we do a booking recurrence. We say repeat every monthly. Repeat by day of week, first week on first weekday. So you see, you can have daily, you can have weekly, you can have monthly and yearly. So we say we create this on the first week and the first weekday and the first week of the month. So it's going to be generating you see here, the range of recurrence is going to be from 1st of November to last of December next year. And that's coming from the agreement, like, you know, I showed you that you set up the agreement time. So we do this, and then we do save it. And then it's going to generate the work orders automatically. So the next work order, as it has already passed 1st of November. This is not a thing you would do. If we would set up the 1st of December, it would generate. But what is being done is that this generation is actually being run as a batch program, as a batch job. So it's going to be generated by tomorrow. So tomorrow I will see booking dates starting to populate in this subgrid. So by using agreements and by using booking setup, you can actually start to auto-populate work orders. By doing this, you take away a lot of manual work of creating work orders every month for the monthly check. One other thing that we do is we do also a lot of setup with field service. If you go into settings of field service, you see a lot of things here. Actually, you can set up default warehouse. You can actually have several warehouses in field service. Warehouses can be a physical place. It can be a vehicle, because sometimes customers have spare parts in the vehicles, and you need to know how many spare parts do we have in each warehouse. And when you work with the work orders and when you take work order products from a warehouse, it's being deducted on the amount of products you have in the warehouse. You can of course work with territories. So you can set up your territories. Here Microsoft has set up our territories, fairly common, like Microsoft is doing it. There's one for Washington, there's one for US, and there's one for EUMA. That's a new one I haven't seen before. You can work with org units, asset categories. Assets is something that is very, very good to use in Dynamics 365 field service. If you work with field service, so let's go back to the service, and then we go into customer assets, which the table is really that's really the table name, customer assets. So here you can set up assets, and you can connect the assets to an account. You can also connect the asset to a product. So there's really a lot of benefits of using customer assets in field service. What you can also do is something that I will not really show you, but you can you can have sub assets. You can have linked properties to an asset. For instance, I know we worked with one of our with another Microsoft partner that was working with installations. So we used the field service for them, and they are using customer assets. Like for computers at the customer site, networking devices, and then the properties could in their case was really like what's the vendor name of this asset, what's the warranty date, what versions are we running in the asset, when was it installed, any other things that could be beneficial. And with the properties that you attach to an asset can actually be updated, so you can see a history of the properties. Like I was saying, what's the version of this device? What's the I know that we've been discussing this with some of our other customers that are going into field service, going into use assets, is that asset could be the asset property could be the temperature of a warehouse. It could be it could be a value that you can read from a fan system. So by using the assets, you can actually do a lot of things with having control of the service tasks that you do, having control of the devices, of the properties that the customers have. If you go into the account, so let's see, we go into Contoso Electronics that I know have some assets. You can have show the assets. You can see the assets that's being used by that's being connected to this account. You can also see something here with something else. It says data center. It's actually one that I created a couple of hours ago. It's actually a location. In an account, a customer can have, sorry, I have to drink some water. A customer can have, of course, a lot of premises that are locations. These are something that's, I think was introduced a year and a half ago in field service. It's called functional locations. So by adding functional locations, what we did earlier, when there were no functional locations, we were using accounts as functional locations, using that and connecting the hierarchy of functional locations, but using it with the account table. When Microsoft introduced the functional locations, we were extremely happy because this is something that the customers really like, being able to use locations and then connect the assets to the locations, because you can connect an asset to a location, and you could also reconnect, or you can move an asset from one location to the other. So let's go back to the settings. You can create asset categories like I was telling you about. You can create the products, you can create price lists, of course, like you can do with Dynamics 365 Sales with the CRM. But here you're working with also products that are field service related. So there's some more things to do when you set up products in field service. Work order types. In a work order type, let's see if they have any work order types. Yes, they do. You have one here called inspection. Inspection is something that is it's a work order type that you associate with a work order. In the work order type, you can do some so you can add some things that could be making it a lot easier to create the work order. Another thing to make it easier to create a work order is incident type. So let's see which one. Standard inspection. Let's use that one. An incident type. If you apply an incident type to a work order, you will get some of the things that you have defined in the standard inspection incident type. So we go to products, we see that, oh, there's nothing there. Let's see, so in services, yes, there is. Inspect system health, flat hourly rate, it's estimated duration to 30 minutes. You can see all of these things that you should do in service when you do a standard inspection. You could add service tasks. These, if you work with the Dynamics 365 Field Service mobile app, are really check boxes for the customer. So this is for the field worker to know that I've read the diagnostic codes, I reviewed the procedure, I performed real-time inspection, and I document my findings. So when you use the incident types, you make it a lot easier to create the work order. And this could, with the incident types, could also be added to the booking setup that I was showing you with the agreements. So let's see, what else do we do? See in my okay, yeah. Let's see where the geolocation settings is really. There we go. Geolocation settings. Like I was telling you first when I started work, telling you about field service, the geolocation settings. You can set up geolocation settings, and the refresh interval is really 60 seconds. The value is seconds here, and you enable location tracking. You can have tracking times because you don't want to track the field worker as they are using a mobile phone. So you don't want to track them during the weekends or during nighttime where they are located. So you set up the geolocation settings there. This is what is actually being shown on the map there, where you have the field workers. There's a whole bunch of things that you could set up in Dynamics 365 Field Service. What we do, some of these things are actually, some of these features are updated, fairly common. So to be able to really know what you can do with the feature is that you have to go back to your Bible, which is docs.microsoft.com, and read what these tables, what these entities, what these features are doing for you. By diving into what field service is, I've shown you that field service is an application in Dynamics 365 that can be a very, very good fit for your customers. So if you start working with field service and you really dig into it, you're going to love it as much as I do. And by doing that, you can do a lot of you can see a lot of benefits from working with your customers, because your customers will really like what you have done for them. And as I said, a field service project is not finished. It's evolving all the time. So let's see, I can move into back into my presentation. Let's see if I can actually, just by doing it like this, go into let's see, that's where I was, yeah. So let's see, present in Teams. Hopefully it will go. No, it didn't. So let's go through the to where I was ending before I started to. That's field services features to note. So, like I said, we've done field service cases for 5 users. 2 of them were device licenses. We've done sales Dynamics installation for a business-to-business customer who's delivering fruit to offices with 5 users. We have delivered projects with Dynamics 365 sales for 3 users. So you can really take away the myth that Dynamics 365 is not a good fit for SMB. I've heard this, especially when I talk about field service. I've actually heard some people in the Microsoft community saying that you cannot sell a field service to a customer below 50 users. But we've actually done that. So one of the things that we have learned is use Power Automate instead of coding. We love to add flows to our solutions. Was a very good presentation before mine with solutions. We love working with solutions, and we do solutions every day. And I actually learned I learned some things from your presentation, so thank you for that one. We integrate using Power Automate and API. Sometimes we do put the API webhooks in. We do the API calls in the Power Automate. We create Power Apps to make it cleaner. If we're working with the team member license, and we cannot use the team member license at the moment with field service, as it's a restricted entity. So we have to use a full license, or we can actually use, like I said, the device license for customers who have a shared device when they are running shifts, 24-hour shifts, and several people are using the same device. By using that, we can actually create Power Apps because they have the device license, and the device license contain the Power Apps for Dynamics 365. One other thing that we have been doing lately is working with custom pages. That's a very, very good new feature. We do custom pages to make it cleaner for the person who's filling out forms in Dynamics 365, especially sales is a very, very good product to use custom pages in. Some other things that we have been doing is that we have populated document templates using Flow. Populate Word document templates by using Flow is something that we've been. We see that that's a very, very good thing to use the features that's in Dynamics 365. We've been using import with Flow to verify duplicate check on columns that is not in the standard duplicate check. So like we do some custom columns that we add ourselves to the solutions. And then with the import, the customer will say, "Oh, we need to check that we do not get duplicates when we import." So we do that with Flow. We ask the customer to produce an Excel file. We give them the template that's needed, and then we run the flows to import the data to Dynamics. We do flows where we create rows in tables from other tables. So by doing these actions, we take away a lot of coding, and as you know, coding can in some cases be a very, very good feature. Of course, we do coding. As I was telling you, we're doing a lot of API integrations. We, of course, have to use code. In some of those cases, I said to you that we do it without using C#.NET. You can actually, when you work with APIs, you can use any language that's that your developer is proficient in. So what I've shown you here is that Dynamics 365 sales, enterprise and professional and field service is a good fit for the SMB market. By using that analogy, you can see that you have a lot of projects to work with. So now I open up for questions and comments. Ras, have you been seeing any questions?
Thank you, Ove. So in terms of questions, there's actually not any questions at the moment. The only question that's really there is in relation to Mehmet, who has asked the question relation to how much customizing is needed if we want to implement a rental business of equipment, and what attention do they need in terms of implementation? So that's the only question we have so far in relation to this.
Yeah. Like a lawyer said, it depends. But let me work on that one a little bit more. The customizing that you need to be doing is for a rental business of equipment. I would say not fairly much. What you have to do, of course, is like I told you, minimize Dynamics 365. You would probably have to create a couple of custom columns, custom tables. But if you really know what you're doing and you know what the limitations are, and if you are fairly known to what's in the Bible, I would say we've actually done some installations with Dynamics 365 sales, and I would say probably this one could go into that as well, with about, I think, 80 to 120 man hours of work, including workshop, documentation, and training. So let's see. How do you see the end of support for Xamarin Field Service in near June 2022 to move to PowerUp's Field Service? It's a lot of work to do. I'm not a developer myself. I know what you can actually do with development, but I would say that would, of course, you always have to see what the things that Microsoft is putting up with the new things. But I would say moving to PowerUp's Field Service is something that's crucial. That's something that you actually need to do, because PowerUp's really Dynamics 365 is a lot of PowerUp's. So of course, if you have some old legacy applications, some old legacy customizations you have done, there's going to be a lot of work, but that's something that you have to discuss with your customer, definitely. Yeah.
Okay. So are there any very good questions? I have to say, I think these questions are very deep questions. And I think, I think in terms of, I think one important conclusion I think people need to draw, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Ove, but it's definitely a focus more on configuration over code when it comes to field services. And what I'd like to get an answer from you, or a statement really, Ove, is where do you draw the line when it comes to configuration versus code for a field service implementation? I think that would be a really great takeaway to kind of wrap up. What would you agree, Ove?
Yeah. Like I've been telling you, you definitely need to know the limitations of what you can do with the field service, and that you can get from docs, that you can get from others working in the community. When you run into the limitations in field service, that's when you have to code. When you see that working with customizations is going to take you more man hours than doing development. Of course, then development is the path you have to go. But in those cases, what you should really think about is, could we do the development with Power Automate? Could we do the development with connectors, with API calls, with other things, with our other techniques? So I would say when you would need to spend more time customizing than coding, then go with coding.
Thank you very much.
Is that a good answer for you?
Fantastic. So, okay, final comment. Lots of great comments for you. Mehmet and Eduardo and Amisha are all saying thank you. Rajesh is saying great session. When would okay, yeah. So people asking about the content. So we've shared already that this is a live event. However, we will share the content with you. Everyone who's been sharing the link to the event. We did share it earlier. We shared it in an email. They will be shared the videos directly. So only those people who have been sharing the event link, only those will actually get the videos for this live event. So I will add it into the chat now for those people who are asking for it. Okay. So yeah, okay. So that's that then. So any final comments you'd like to make? Any advice you'd like to provide, Ove, to those people who are looking to embark on implementing field services? Do you have any advice or any final comments?
Yeah, my advice is, do not be scared of or how large field service is. Focus on the things that's really beneficial for the customer, and that's that's the path to go, because you will evolve, and you will have to read the docs guides as well. Thank you for giving me the chance to talk, and thank you for all the attendees and with the good questions. You can find me on LinkedIn if you want to reach out to me there. I'm open to discussing with the communities. And from Stockholm, Sweden, it's good night, because it's soon 10 p.m. here.
Oh dear. Okay, well, good night to everyone. Because tomorrow morning is the administration and customization track. So today you're literally just dipping your toes into Dataverse. We are literally just dipping our toes. Tomorrow is where we get even deeper, advancing your knowledge more into administration and customizations of the Dataverse. And then on Saturday is level 400. That's as deep as it goes when it comes to actually developing Dataverse. So that's what we have lined up for you. So guys, I advise everyone to get some rest, because tomorrow is a very big day. We have senior engineers from Microsoft joining us, sharing some big announcements, live Q&As. So tomorrow is the big day, guys. So prepare yourself for tomorrow. It's going to be highly action-packed tomorrow. So we will look forward to seeing you then. So again, Ove, thank you for joining us so late in Sweden, and thank you for sharing your experience. And we look forward to meeting you in person very soon.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ove. Okay, thank you everyone today who's joined us.